Embark on a journey of faith and grace with Jesus Prayer and Therapy.
It's a he, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't believe I'm worried about the dog's pronouns. 2024, y'all.
Goodbye, boring Mondays. Welcome to your dose of Jesus Prayer and Therapy, where you start your week right. Welcome. We're so excited today. We have a very special guest. I know you guys are going to enjoy this episode. Jonas Hieronymo is in the house. Yay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Liz.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's a really great honor.
We're so happy you're here. We're so excited.
Thanks, me too. Yeah.
And I know that, I've been waiting for this moment.
I've been waiting for this moment.
Let's
All right.
know you. Could you please briefly introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Jonas. I'm sure, probably know that. So.
Hi, Jonas.
Jonas, I used to be a parishioner where we were both parishioners in the same church in St. Boniface.
Yeah.
Yes, although the kids have since gone to school at St. Pius V, so we're parishioners there now. And even though they're in high school, we kind of just stayed at St. Pius, but we're kind of probably thinking of moving back to St. Boniface eventually now that the girls are finished with confirmation program and everything else. Just by way of I guess, an introduction, I guess I'm an economist by trade. So my trade really is sort of in analytics and in healthcare, totally not related to, I think, what we're going to talk about today. But I am a staunch sort of advocate of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I think I'm Catholic through and through, and I love talking about the Lord. And I think that's probably what brought us all together, even today.
But about a decade ago, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years now at Boniface that we met.
Yeah.
And
it's wonderful how I've seen all of us grow in our own way, and it's beautiful how we've all branched out into different things. Obviously, we're not sort of as involved in each other's lives as we once were, but the thing that sort of catalyzes all of us, keeps us all together, is a common faith, the common love of the Lord, and the common sort of desire to know Him and to understand Him, and to the common desire to seek His will. I think that's such a great unifying thing for everybody. And I think it's when I reflect on just us, like you said, 10 years.
Exactly. It's
just a beautiful thing. Yeah.
And, the theme of this season is how love is just part of all of our stories. And we are called to this love, be in union with this love, and how this love gives us purpose, especially in moments of a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. So was there a moment, Jonas, where you experienced God's, love in that suffering?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we all sort of go through we all go through pain. Maybe we all go through different kinds of pain, and we go through different challenges in our lives, but we certainly go through them, right? I always think, you think pain as like, life is like a train track, right? And there are different stations, so some stations are all about joy, some stations are about pain, and some stations are both.
Yeah.
And actually most stations, I would say, are both, a mixture of both and stuff. For me specifically, I think I continue to sort of struggle like everybody else. We all have our struggles, but for me, a defining moment was maybe 8 years ago. I just came. It was the weekend of the 40th anniversary of the diocese. Oh. So there was a big mass, and there's a big mass at the cathedral, but the cathedral was still getting renovated at that point.
Got it.
Yeah, so the mass was outdoors, and it was huge. I think it was like almost 10,000 at the mass and stuff. And I was one of the MCs.
Oh yeah.
At the mass and stuff, and my job was to, everybody, all the MCs' jobs were to sort of make sure that the mass was going as planned and getting facilitated in an organized fashion. Came from that really kind of tiring weekend, and by Tuesday, I just wasn't. I fainted. I fell to the ground in the office and
at work.
Yeah, and that was. I went into cardiac arrest essentially. So I got a heart attack, and I went into cardiac arrest I think 3 times before they stabilized me. And then when they stabilized me, I suffered a stroke afterwards.
Your heart stops 3 times.
Yeah. There was
Oh gosh.
Yeah, like that was something too. Like I couldn't. I asked the doctor, "You mean to tell me I died 3 times?" He says, "Yeah, but no more than 10 minutes."
You died 3 times, no more than 10 minutes?
Yeah, each. Like
Each?
Yeah, so I was like, well, okay. Yeah, how do you deal with that?
Wow.
But I think the bigger impact was what the stroke brought, because it sort of it led to me being a little less mobile than I was before. Certainly, not able to walk and move around and just do things in the same way that I did in the past. And for me, that was something that was very that changed my life, because I was very active in ministry. Right, I was a catechist through and through. I taught in all sacraments, baptism, confirmation, RCIA. I participated in marriage prep, all of that.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah,
You were
and
the go of the church.
it was a fun ride.
Like-
when it was happening. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh.
I was active in ministry very much. So all of that just had to stop.
So you were serving in all of these areas when you went into cardiac arrest?
It wasn't a full-time thing.
them.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, most of my free time was sort of dedicated to a lot of that stuff. It was, Liz and I, we were both in youth ministry, for example. So there were a lot of things that were, and then on top of that, I was getting really kind of involved with the diocese and the in the worship ministry there. So it was a very exciting time, and all of that just stopped. And I kind of didn't know, where to pick up from there. The pieces were just kind of just all in shambles and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I remember, Jonas, if I can share, Charmaine had reached out to us that they were doing a prayer chain for you. And I remember this. Charmaine's your wife, for those that know you. It was just so shocking, getting the news that this is happening to you. And so, of course, we started praying for you. But I remember we visited you at a rehab. It was like a rehab or, and I remember leaving with my husband from this rehab. And we were so filled because we saw you still there was like this mysterious kind of tangible, joy and peace. I'm like, how is it, that you had forgone so much at this point?
Yeah.
And you shared with us, so tell us what did you experience? A lot of people that say that have near-death experiences, they say that they see things or hear things. Did that happen to you or no?
No. And I wish it did. I wish it did, because you're right. That's the first thing. If what happened to me happened to someone I know, that would be the first question asked, is to see God at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah.
That would be the first question, because that's what people always say they experienced and stuff. Nothing like that at all. If anything, I had recurring, I was, during, when I was like comatose, even though clinically, I don't think it really was comatose, but I was under propofol, a lot of propofol. I just heard conversation around me, and I heard a lot of prayer. And I confirmed that when I became conscious, I asked, and Charmaine said, yeah, a lot of people were praying around you. Like in Benno said that happened. And I said, I remember a conversation about Long John Silver.
Oh.
Yeah. And fried shrimp. And she said, yeah, Father Dewey came and brought Long John Silver for everybody.
Oh.
Because he lives in Long Beach, and there's a Long John Silver out in Long Beach and stuff. And everybody was talking about how there isn't a Long John Silver in Orange County anymore.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I said, yeah, I remember that conversation.
Right.
So there were a lot of things I think I was kind of a little lucid. But to answer your question, no. But I did feel God still present in my life. And I felt God maybe a little differently, and I think more organically, and probably in a way that was more compatible to the way I saw things. And I felt God, actually maybe through you and Victor, when you visited me at the hospital, and like so many others have, in the hospital, that was God's presence to me. You were there, maybe in the person of Christ, the works of mercy, right? Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the sick, right? Visit the infirmed. I think, knowingly or not, people like you and Victor or being Christ's presence to me during that time. And during that time, those were like the darkest days, of my life. I was just really scared of everything. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. Am I ever going to walk again?
Mm-hmm.
Are my kids going to be okay? How am I going to support them? Am I going to be able to work? There are a lot of those things that sort of, they were just uncertainties, and there were questions that were unanswered for a very long time. And they just, kind of, they kind of test you, when you're laying down in bed, you have nowhere to go and you can't sleep because you've literally been asleep for like the last 3 months, right? You can't sleep anymore and you're just left with nothing but your thoughts. And for a while, I kind of let that fear get to me. And then at some point, somebody shook me. I think it was Father Aaron. He says, hey, wait a minute, you're still Catholic. It was around December. It was around my birthday now, and he says, I was still in the hospital. He says, wait a minute, you're still Catholic. Have you ever thought of just maybe talking to God, and stuff? And I said, I think you're right. I think there might be something there. And then that's when I kind of reminded myself, wait, why did I stop praying?
So during this time that you were at the hospital?
Yeah, I was still at the hospital.
Okay, got
and stuff. And,
got it.
So I began a prayer regimen again, and I don't know if one led to the other or if things were going to sort of unfurl in the way that they did anyway. But I began to show signs of, like my improvements began to, pick up one after the other. I was able to sit up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was able to sit up. I was able to kind of pull myself up, and I was able to walk with a walker, and I was able to transfer out of bed to a chair. That's really important. That's really important. And from a chair to another chair and stuff. And then I had to learn to do a whole bunch of other things. And then that's when I realized, okay, so there's kind of hope in all of this, all the while, us, kind of just continuing to work on what I thought was maybe a damaged relationship with God, just by being impeded, I think, in my own thoughts. And so for a while there, I just forgot that I wasn't alone. I forgot that God was always with me. It wasn't, it wasn't desolate.
Right.
And it took me a while to sort of, when I realized that, of course, then all the other things that are not as great as God begin to sort of be more visible. I said, wait, my wife is here. My kids are here. My parents are here. The whole community here with me also. I didn't realize that there's all of this that, that surrounds me. And I think that's sort of what really kind of helped me, kind of be in this trajectory. I think I'm still sort of, on a path towards recovery. I don't know what that recovery is going to look like maybe a year from now.
Yeah.
But certainly when I look back, I reflect now, year after year, the recovery is, I'm showing an improved relationship with everybody, including God. First of all, God, year over year, I've seen myself grow in ways that I didn't think I needed to grow. And I think that, if anything, because I have to find grace.
Yeah.
I have to try hard to find grace where you can't always see it immediately. And, so I have to really look. And I think the grace behind everything that's happened to me, so some of that is just maybe developing a more grateful attitude towards a lot of things. There are a lot of things that I took for granted before all of this happened, like being able to walk to the pew.
Yeah.
I'm still grappled by disappointment when I can't genuflect. When I get in church, I can't genuflect to the tabernacle. That's just not something I can do anymore.
Yeah.
But it's something that I took for granted. And it's such a beautiful way of showing my love for God, and something as simple as that, of course there are other ways to to express love and faith and a desire to be with God, but that's one, because I can't do it. It's one that I long for. Right. And so there are a lot of those things that I wish I still had, but I don't. And I think that's the other thing. I think that, apart from being grateful, I think what I've really learned from all of this is just acceptance, I guess. There's a lot of things I can't do anything about. They are what they are. And
like not fight
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah. Not fight it,
know.
but just, yeah.
Yeah.
Or pick what, pick what you really want to fight. And then everything else that you can't win, just accept it. Of course, if you see that a lot of the things that we accept, if we sort of take a deep dive into what those things are, those are probably the things that those are the same things that are the substance of our sorrow.
Yes.
Right? If you feel powerless over something, right? If you can't do anything about something that you don't like, a situation that you don't like, that you can't pull yourself out of, that you have no control over, that's really what will cause a sorrow in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So by year 3, I think I stopped and I said, my gosh, all of this stuff I had to accept, and I kind of just buried them in a chest somewhere. What am I going to do with that?
It's almost like you didn't want to deal with it, kind of, for the first 3 years, was it?
Yeah, it's like, you can't do anything with it, so I deal with it. Like, there's a part of my brain that said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And there are things where I knew it doesn't matter how hard I try, right? If I can't from here stand up and walk over to the couch, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
If stuff like that. So, there are small things like that just I had to sort of accept. I had to stop being a catechist for a few years.
Yeah.
So that was something that was hard to grapple with, because I love, me, Liz, I love talking about the church, right? I love talking about the church. I love defending her. I love talking about her virtues. I love sharing my faith, and I love sharing my love for the Lord, and I felt like that was being impeded because I wasn't able to deliver it in a way that I used to,
Right.
in a way that I preferred. So there were those things where, okay, my default was, well, just accept it.
Right.
And so there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that, and I think we were at St. Boniface one weekend. I think it was the Ascension of the Lord. So it was Easter. It was the Ascension of the Lord the week before Pentecost, and Father Tim, Bishop Friar, celebrated just a Sunday Mass. And I said to him, I'm kind of struggling with
Your new reality.
with accept, I mean, I've accepted it. I've conditioned myself
Yeah.
to accept it, but there's a part of me that just can't, there's, and he said, well, I think accept is, he said, well, we have different ways of accepting things. Maybe sometimes you accept, but you really just tolerate the circumstance and stuff. And he said, one thing that you might want to do and you might want to look into is to offer up that suffering to God. And until he called it suffering, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I just thought it was just a frustration.
Okay.
Right. I thought it was just a frustration. I remember it was after Mass, and he says this in passing to me. I mean, it wasn't like,
just
I mean,
we were like
literally
a down conversation.
Oh, Father Tim, he's like, he's not the type to sit down and have coffee with and stuff like that. I mean, he does, but not after Mass, I guess is what I'm saying. Not when he's vested and all of that stuff. So, but he's just said it in passing, and I remember, and then I kept that in my head all week. And then I went to Mass the next week, and I don't remember the gospel reading anymore, but I related that week's gospel. It was the Ascension of the Lord. So it was
after.
Yeah, it was it was Medes, Elamites, Parthians, all understanding God the same way, and the Holy Spirit came down. And the homily was, all of these people here they're still down in their spirits. It's 50 days out from the Lord, from when the Lord died. And then the Holy Spirit comes to them, and they were animated by the Holy Spirit, right? So I said, okay, well, let invite the Holy Spirit. Maybe it's another, I haven't really, even though one of the prayers I say every morning, as part of the office of prayer is, come Holy Ghost, Fill the hearts of your faithful and enkindle in us the fire of your love. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been saying it, but have I really stopped to appreciate what I'm saying?
And I think us as Catholics, sometimes we have like the intellectual knowledge and we hear about it, we learn about it, but to actually have it trickle down to your heart and to like live what the Bible tells us, it takes a process sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of when you had that moment of,
yeah, it's I
the aha moment.
yeah, and I'm like, and this is me, right? 40-year-old Jonas, you know, who's gonna say that Jonas isn't Catholic and isn't prayerful and all of that stuff. I think even I'm shocked that things like that I've just, again, when you say take for granted, those are the kinds of things that, you know, what I really mean is taking things like that for granted. I didn't know that I was already doing that, and the Holy Spirit has been coming. I just haven't been doing anything with
to
the Holy
open
Spirit. Yeah,
yourself.
because again, the relationship with God, our relationship with God is it's not a codependent, as much a codependent relationship as in the form that we think it is. God doesn't just come in and make decisions for us and takes over everything unless we humble ourselves and give everything up to him. I say that in prayer, but I wasn't doing it. I wasn't really, and I still don't. A part of me still doesn't. I struggle with it. I don't think anybody really.
Yeah.
I think outside of the Blessed Mother, outside of the Blessed Mother and Saint Joseph and the saints,
Right.
how do you? It's just, for me, I know it's possible, but you know, I it's possible, but I don't know how attainable it is for me, just because I know I'm so broken. So, and then that's why I seek that grace from God. So, you know, there's that element too and stuff, but you know, it's when I realize that, okay, yeah, so how do I go about this? How do I go about this? And I think that's really when, I think year 3 for me, and this is 3 years out from
the initial
heart
attack.
Yeah, so for me, that's a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah, so I was bored. I was frustrated. I wasn't doing anything. My first year, I didn't go to mass at all. Wow. Yeah, my first year, I didn't go to mass at all. I went to, and then my second year. So by my third year, I was already on fire, and then by end of February, early March, COVID hit.
Oh, this is right around 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I tried. You know, that was the easy way out, right, with God. So I was like, well, God, I got one of my sleeves, but
ready to come back in speed mode, and then
there's, I'm in the kitchen. There's nothing to cook, right? So
yes.
And I can't believe, like, think about that, having that attitude with God.
Yeah,
you're blaming everyone but yourself.
Right.
And so that happened until I think maybe 2022 is I found myself rebasing again and saying, wait, stop, because I lost my brother. My brother passed away, and that was something unexpected for me. He was younger. He was a younger brother, my only brother, right? He was 2 years younger than me. And after everything that's happened to me, the last thing I would ever expect is for me to outlive my little brother. But that's just how things are. God's will is God's will, and you'll just be victim to pride if you want to sort of expound any sort of understanding out of that, because I think God's will sometimes is beyond comprehension. But I think what we're called to do is have faith in that will,
Right.
that there's a greater good in it all. And I think there is, especially 2 years out now. I think I've learned a lot from that experience, and I think I'm in a better, sort of more stable place just out of that.
Do you think in a way, I don't know, what happened prepared you? Like, you kind of surrendering, this process of surrendering your health, surrendering that now you can't be as active, surrendering all these things, in a way kind of prepared you to continue now to surrender your brother in this unexpected kind of death, right? Do you think that perhaps what God was already working in your heart helped you live out that moment, or was that another kind of event in your life that kind of took you aback?
I would say yes. I would say that I'm a little, a lot of people, when I hear testimonies all the time, a lot of people sort of go through a hardship and then they find God, right? But for me, I already had God from the beginning, and then I went through a hardship, right? And so it was, for me, the experience was not necessarily finding God, but rediscovering Him, and maybe finding growth out of that, and kind of ways. My faith with God, my relationship with Him was, I think it was on solid foundation to begin with, right? But it was untested. It was just comfortable faith. It was, right? I hope you know what I mean. I don't mean to sound sort of, kind of casual about it and stuff, but.
Oh, well, it's so easy to love God when everything's going right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to serve Him in all these ways that you were.
Yeah, because I was just getting things handed to me, and, and if I didn't want to do something, okay, then I won't do it, so there was a lot of that. And then that happened, and coming out of it now, that's when I know, okay, well, this relationship is pretty solid at this point. I mean, I can't say what'll happen tomorrow. It might be tested in a different way that I haven't been, I haven't experienced at all, and that's also going to be different. But so far, based on sort of the things that I went through, I can say now with more clarity that my faith in God is definitely unquestionable, and my relationship with Him is something that I continuously seek to grow. And I think it's stronger now than it was 5 years ago, stronger now than it definitely was 8 years ago when my heart attack happened. And that's coming from a place where I thought my faith was strong to begin with. Right. So, the fire refines, right? Fire refines, fire purifies. And I'd like to think, although I know that I'm far from pure. I'm far from perfect. So certainly not refined in the way that maybe not in the textbook definition of it, but I'm more of it now than I was in the past. And really that's kind of all we can really pursue is, a better relationship with God going forward. And, of course it sounds benevolent when I sit here and I talk about it, but I struggle every day with other things.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that just small things that scare me, and even just small menial things that you guys might say, oh my gosh, why are you worried about that? But but to me they're big, and then it leads up to it, and then it happens, and I'm like, okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God. And now I don't just say accept it. I say, stop, look at what it is, take it for what it is, and how can you grow out of it, and what can you get out of it? So there's a little bit of that. And then I don't sit for like an hour and reflect on stuff like that. It pretty much happens like pretty quickly, right? How can I move on this? How can, what do I do with this? How do I relegate this experience? Where do I take it? What do I, add this to the offer up list, add this to, a lot of the times we do that, but I think we have to get used to processing it that way in order for us to sort of really kind of be functional, moving about, contending with everything else that goes on in life.
Yes.
Because life isn't a single track thing. We don't deal with issues one at a time. A lot of the times it's like a tsunami.
It hits you all at once.
All things are happening, and then your little girl is saying, Dad, we're out of milk.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah. So, and a lot of the times it's really that. So you gotta just roll with the punches. You gotta triage your sorrow by what's big, what's big and you can't do anything about, that's something
their
that'll just
thinking.
be there. It'll loom.
Yeah.
But what are things that you can do something about? What's actionable? And that's kind of what I focus on, especially as a father to teens, to teenagers and stuff, as a husband, as somebody who manages projects at work. I kind of look at it that way too. And I would say that maybe the one different thing that I do now is I used to sort of draw lines between like my different, this is Jonas the economist, and this is Jonas the church guy. This is Jonas the dad, and then maybe a little bit of the dad bleeds over to the church guy.
Yeah.
Right. This is Jonas the husband.
All the different roles.
Yeah. And this is Jonas the son. And now I just don't have the strength. I don't think I have the temerity, even like the arrogance to say I'm gonna compartmentalize my life because I'm capable of doing it. I just basically say, what's there? What can I focus on? And what I've found is, it helps me. What that does, it helps me prioritize to single things instead of, because before when you compartmentalize like to even 4 things, you're prioritizing 4 things, right? But if you put it all on the same basket, you're prioritizing one thing at a time. So it does kind of make life, even though it's like a multi-track experience, you're able to sort of say, well, I think I'm gonna work on this first, and then because that can wait, and that's sort of been my approach. I would say the last 3 years, and it's worked really well for me.
Good.
Yeah, I've managed to, for over a year now, I've gone back to ministry. I'm teaching confirmation again.
Oh,
and
awesome.
Yeah, teaching baptism classes again, and speaking where I'm invited. So I'm able to sort of be more involved now in the church again after such a long time. And I'm not, I think I was one of those who really just got a kick out of vesting and serving at the altar at Mass. I really kind of just loved, I loved I love the rubrics of the Mass, and
Right.
I'm very pedantic, so I love, you have to do it a certain way, and this is how you do it. I was very focused on details and stuff, and the things like that I can't do anymore. So
Yeah.
but what I found is it's also as rewarding to see my kids do it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so I teach them, the right.
Beautiful daughters, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, they eat a lot. Yeah. Eat a lot. But that's, thank you for that.
Yeah.
But that's they're I'm just grateful that they have the same fervor for ministry that Charmaine and I have.
Yeah.
It wasn't, we didn't need to ask them. Like as soon as they got their first communion, that I'm getting vested. Actually, as a matter of fact, when they were in class getting to get received to make their first communion, they were already training to be altar servers. So they received first communion on Saturday.
Oh.
They both served Mass on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
So
I mean, they're a reflection of the work of you and your wife.
thank you. I'd like to think, that I'd like to take credit for that. Yeah, I don't want to take credit
All
for
the
that.
little seeds that you've planted in the same.
It's rewarding for me to see, because I saw all the time how some kids interacted with the priests. There's, of course, we need to treat them with reverence, but there's an element of like fear and, they're shy, not fear, but maybe shy around priests. My kids just didn't have any of that. Hi, Father. Hi, Father. Oh, Father, you got a haircut. So it's a lot of that. Father, have you tried this boba place? So it's a little different. The dynamic is a little bit different. And I love that, because what that tells me is, and I've seen it happen over and over, where they will pull Father aside on a Sunday and ask him a question. So I said, well, good. If they can't ask me for advice, the next person I'd want them to ask is Charmaine, but if not her, the priest. Yeah. So, and I see him that all that, Father, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it leads to a confession. Okay, we'll just, can you guys wait for us in the parking lot? Father will say, and so there are a lot of that. And, like just even that, the way my girls grew to like just appreciating the reconciliation with the Lord. I think that's it's kind of special to me. Yeah. So I kind of, when I see that, and I can't be active in that ministry, but to see my kids do it, they're lectors.
So fulfilled.
Charmaine's a sacristan, and those are the things that I used to do. But now, I'm my family is an extension, sort of of that ministry now.
Yes.
And stuff. And again, I find sort of reward in that. And now the what I thought was suffering before has a purpose. I'm taking a step back so that the people I love can take a step forward. Right? I'm allowing them to do what not allowing. God, that's such a
Yeah. No, but when before you used to just be the
patriarchal,
always the leader and always me,
Yeah.
It's now
there's a lot of that, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of
unconsciously you just take it on.
Yeah.
And so
So
it forced you to kind of take the
Absolutely.
seat.
It's very vain too. There's a lot of vanity kind of in the
yes, we gotta be very careful with
yeah
that.
yeah so I had to separate divorce myself from that and stuff. And now it comes from if I'm not serving the Lord, if my kids are doing it in that capacity, then that's great. That's great. So I'm kind of, and I'm finding the graces. That's what I mean is,
Yes.
if not me, then my daughters, and they're not being forced to it. It's not like we incentivize them or threaten them with anything. They're the ones say, I want to continue serving. Like Maddie had to ask because she graduated high school already, and she asked Father, can I continue serving? He says, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Like, you look 13. Yeah, it's fine. But serve as much as you want, as long as you want. You're definitely welcome to do it. But now that you're at a particular age, you're getting closer to opportunities maybe to serve the Lord in a different capacity. Like, I think in a couple of years she can be Eucharistic minister.
Yeah.
So there are things to look forward to. Yeah, they're just that, and that to me is great. If I can keep them excited about all of that stuff, then Charmaine and I are doing something right, at least.
Exactly.
Whatever keeps them in church,
Exactly.
and I, to be honest, I don't think we have any concerns about that. At least for now, but that's because they live with us. So there's always this sort of I hope they
it just
continue.
keeps going. The work that you've set there continues, and your grandchildren, hopefully, right, in the future.
Yeah. Well,
It just keeps going. It's a chain, the trickle effect that keeps going.
That's the hope.
Yes. Yes.
I tell my daughter, she's 18, and I told her, you're less than 10 years probably away from getting married.
Yeah.
Because Mom and I got married when we were 25.
Very young.
Yeah. So she's
vocation. How has your vocation helped you? Because I'm assuming Charmaine had to kind of step in a lot of things, right?
Yeah,
or for you to allow her to, kind of maybe show you her love in a different way. How has that suffering entangled with this vocation where we're called to serve each other? How has that played out for you?
It was a little bit of it was an adjustment, I guess you could say. But I'm blessed. I'm blessed in that I think she and I had an understanding that it really isn't about me, even though all of that happened to me. I think I went home. I think even when I went home, our common goal was to just make sure the kids were okay. So even going through, this is what I mean about this, the multi-tracked sort of, to life, is dealing with all of that. That can't be the thing in my life, because everything we just talked about, all of that stuff, while all of that is happening, the biggest thing in our life really are our kids.
Yes.
That's what keeps us awake at night. That's what makes us get up early in the morning to work. The kids are the priority. So when I think us having the same priority allowed us to focus on that, instead of each other, because man, there were I think the best way to describe our relationship is an episode in Friends.
Which one? I love
when Ross, Rachel, and Chandler were trying to bring this couch up the stairs, and the stairs, the stairs pivots, right?
Pivot.
Sometimes I'm Ross, and Charmaine is Chandler, and then there are other times where she's Ross and I'm Chandler, and the entire time the kids are Rachel.
Just trying to figure out what
Just what the hell is going on, and over everything. Over everything. Just small things, big things. It was just it was we were a married couple, and the thing that we sort of, we're Catholic couple, so it's not like we came into anything with, if we don't like it, we can just get divorced. That just was never on the table anyway. So I think we had to we got to figure out a way to deal with each other through all of this stuff. And I have to say, we laugh about it now, but there were just a lot of things that
hard.
Remember, we got in a fight, and she's like, and this is me, right? I can't get up. I'm in bed, and I need a walker to get up. I need her to help me, and all of that stuff. And she's like, I'm leaving with the kids. And I'm like, well, did she say she's leaving with the kids? And she's like, I'm watching Black Panther. She walks out and stuff. So, and then they come back 2 hours later, and then she just needed to watch Black Panther. And now, and I'm thinking about it now, and Charmaine is telling me, and maybe I found a way for us to not get along that day, so I can say I want to watch Black Panther. Because you didn't want to watch it. You didn't want to. And this is me again. I'm not gonna go there on a wheelchair. This is so freaking. I'm not gonna sit in the handicap section, to watch a movie, And they're like, Daddy, you can go in there and we can transfer to a chair. We'll fold the wheelchair and put it in the back and all of that stuff. And I was so reluctant because I was still stuck with the idea of I wanted to go back to the Jonas before the heart attack. In the skinny pants and the cool youth minister outfit, and that just wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't gonna happen. I wasn't going to the gym. There were just a lot of things. My strength wasn't there anymore. I and the gym thing too is, like the doctor said, you gotta go to the gym. Not even for an hour like that. Let's keep the muscles for going. 15 minutes every day. You have to work out. So we got a trainer, we got everything, and you'd be surprised with all the excuses you come up with, all the silly excuses, my pencil broke.
Not gonna go. Not going.
Just small things, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I need a haircut. Let's wait to get a haircut before you go to the gym. This is a lot of that too. That
excuses,
sort of
right.
But
it's the reluctance almost.
Just with Charmaine though, I think there's that having an appreciation really sort of for what that Catholic marriage means, and understanding that it's a vocation before anything else, and the vocation really is about denying yourself, right, for the sake of the other. That's
and loving in sickness and in health.
Yes.
But we just want to do the health part when sickness comes around.
Yeah.
That's when
This season, your theme this season is love, and the most basic and the most organic theological definition of love is sacrificing for the good of another without expecting anything in return. That's literally what love is. Because if you think about it, that's what the Lord did, right? He didn't say you're gonna die. He said, I'm gonna die so that you can live. And you don't have to do anything, but you don't have to do anything. But you just have to accept. And that acceptance, that prerequisite, it's not because he wants us to. Right. He offers it as sort of he offers it because he gave us free will.
Right.
So we have to use that free will. So you have to choose him back too, right? It isn't love if you don't have a choice, it isn't love, right? So you have to choose God. You have to love him back, right? And you don't have to sacrifice anything. You just have to love him back. So there's that, and I think we identify ourselves. I think we've been to enough marriage encounter retreats to sort of really be founded in that understanding of love and how that translates to discipleship and to an answer to vocation, right? And how that discipleship leads to other areas of your life, but it's founded in the same love. I think you said it really well, Liz. We're made from love, right? We're here because of it, and we're called back to it, right? That literally is our relationship with God.
Purpose. Yeah.
That's our relationship with God. And you're right, that is a purpose, right? The Catechism teaches us, right, that God created us out of love so that we can love him by loving each other.
Yes.
Right.
And every vocation is that invitation. There's many different vocations, but in talking about marriage, that's where you can use and practice it with somebody, right? All those different beauties of self-denying, sacrificial. And going back to, we were saying earlier, it's so easy to love God when things are going well. It's so easy to love your spouse when he's treating you everything perfectly and
it's untested
nice
love.
And tidy. It's untested.
Untested love is a great love.
Yeah.
But it's tested love, it might be worse for wear. It might have scars. But I think the scars are what makes it, beautiful. The Lord didn't come out of this life unscathed.
Yeah.
He was beaten pretty badly. He was insulted. He was spit on. He was denigrated. He was killed and murdered, right? So I think just experiencing even a fraction of that helps us to identify with the Lord. Again, sacrifice, for that greater love, and so much of like what we, that sorrow that we sort of experience. Really, it's denying yourself of an immediate good, really for a greater good, and I think that's, as much as I want to understand God's will, that's really as far as I can understand it, is there's a greater good behind all of this.
Right.
Yes.
All of this happened to me, and I didn't know. I'm like I'm the regular person saying, why me? I've been such a great soldier.
Yes.
I've literally, I dotted my I's, crossed my T's, woke up when you say
Try
5.
to do everything how you asked to do, God. But what's going on?
Yeah. So.
And then when you try to go back to ministry, you lose your brother.
Yeah. There's all these impediments and stuff, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's, so but I think everything that happened to me, if it didn't happen to me in COVID, I would have probably been out in ministry also. And I probably would have gotten COVID. Yeah. And I probably would have ended up like a lot of people I know, either, in bed or dead, but even this disability, one way or another helped me stay home. It kept me home, and it kept me sheltered from all of that stuff. Cause I know myself. I would have been out there.
Out and about.
I would have been out there at St. Vincent de Paul, making stir-fried bulgogi, feeding the homeless, on Wednesdays, and
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So, then I would be, if not there, I'd be out somewhere else, doing something. And I know a lot of people, Ray Uribe, he used to be the confirmation director at St. Boniface. That's what happened to him, is he didn't let COVID get in the way of loving God, expressing his love for God in the way that he knew. And that's how he got COVID, and that's why he's not here with us anymore.
Yeah.
So I would have probably been met with the same fate if God didn't hand this disability to me. So even there, again, you got to look for grace.
Yeah.
You got to look hard for the grace where you don't immediately see it.
Yeah.
But that in and of itself is a grace to me, because in the 8 years, I've seen my daughters grow. I've seen them
a lot in these 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen them grow. My career has grown. Charmaine and I have grown together in a lot of ways, and there are just a lot of things that happened in the 8 years, and I'm grateful that I saw it all, and I'm grateful I'm still around to.
And it takes the eyes of faith to see certain things as blessing.
Yes.
It really does.
Yeah, sometimes it's something that needs to be taken from you, for you to appreciate a lot of the things that you already have.
Yes.
Stuff, or it takes really just it takes wanting. You have to long for something in order for you to appreciate what you have now and prepare to appreciate whatever that is that you're longing for. Because I think God in the end, God's will, surpasses all. And one way or another, His will for us is to be happy.
Yes.
And to find joy in Him. And so, for me, the biggest challenge for me at this point is, but my expectation of joy might not be what God, the kind of joy that God wants for me. Yeah. So I just have to open myself up to, okay, just, bring the joy, whatever
God
it is.
knows what I want.
I wish it's, I wish it's a watch, but maybe it's not a watch. Or maybe I wish it could be this, but if it's not this, everything else that you've given me, Lord, I've pretty much been happy. I'm here today grateful for everything that I have, everything that I've experienced, all the setbacks, all the wins, big and small. I'm grateful for all of it because that's really what makes me now, right? You have to take all of that and say, okay, whatever all of that is, the culmination of all of that is me right now, which then leads me to sort of say, am I really happy with myself? That's the question that sort of, and then I sort of look outward and, well, my kid's happy. Are they healthy? Is my wife happy? Is she healthy? And then I say, yeah, I am happy.
But as a father, right, that you have this mindset and outlook for your own daughters, it's knowing that you also have, your spiritual father that looks at you the same way and trusting, right, that piece of like, God will not forget me. God has not abandoned me.
Yeah.
And sometimes our sorrow and our pain and difficulties, we've learned this and we talked about it in season 1, that our pain only makes sense in view of eternity sometimes, right?
Yeah.
To know that we're here and it's passing and we're learning and God is teaching us things to be fruitful.
Yeah.
And we just kind of have to open ourselves and let it be because our home is in eternity. And if this is going to prepare us for that, let's sit back and, right? So thank you, Jonas, for being with us today and for just, being an example of what it's like to let God into our lives, and not just when things are going great, but especially when things are difficult. We appreciate you being so vulnerable with us here and reminding us that there is purpose behind every struggle. We just need the eyes of faith and trust that in the end, God will be victorious. So thank you again for being a guest in our podcast. And we would like to conclude with a prayer from St. Thomas Aquinas. And it goes like this: Sweet Jesus, body and blood most holy, be the delight and pleasure of my soul, my strength and salvation in all temptations, my joy and peace in every trial, my light and guide in every word and deed, and my final protector in death. Grant to us, O Lord my God, a mind to know you, a heart to seek you, wisdom to find you, conduct pleasing to you, faithful perseverance in waiting for you, and a hope of final embracing you. Amen. Thank you, everyone that listened. See you in our next episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. See you next time. Bye.